Uh-huh. I just feel like I've been around the block, ripping up fantasy stock, working around the clock. Look at the view from the top. Researching rookies a lot? No, I just be listening to pods, yeah. One in particular, I'm just a messenger, let me just pass on the rock. Browning, brunning, pruning, pronouncing ain't what he's doing. What he's doing is not losing, but infusing you with new things. And there's Dennis the Bennett, yeah. The man is a menace, yeah. Building a dynasty, some of the finest things. Promise you, you won't regret it. Sly as a fox, cultured in pop. Give him his props. Here is a thought, here is a box. And you cannot compare them at all, so don't even try. Careful with the news, but when you use a take, I take up Tony Fire. I mean Dyer, because anyone else is a huge mistake. Whoa. Fantasy Roundtable, fantasy Roundtable. Yeah. Fantasy Roundtable, come take a look at the crown, baby. Hey, Fantasy Roundtable, fantasy Roundtable. Woo. Fantasy Roundtable, come take a look at the crown, baby. Go.
What is going on, everybody? It is a Victory Monday, at least for my Cleveland Browns, not for any of my fantasy teams. But hey, you know what? That is okay. Because the Cleveland Browns are 9-3. Better. Matt. Oh, wait, I guess we are going to recap all of the Sunday games from Week 13. We still have 3 games left, 2 games tonight, 1 that's about to start. And then obviously we have the Tuesday night game as well. Matt, how you doing on this beautiful Monday?
I'm doing pretty good. I know you said the game's supposed to start. I cannot figure out what channel it's on. So
let's see, because I've got it on in the background here. So it is on Fox for me.
Interesting.
I'd imagine it's Fox for everybody. Right now it's showing pregame. That's what I'm on right now. The game's not actually on. It's Strahan, Tony Gonzalez, and whomever else. Terry Bradshaw, right? And I can't remember. Kurt Menefee. Is that right? Is that who the big guy is?
Yeah.
The main host guy? Okay, yeah. That is showing the pregame stuff right now.
Interesting. Our Fox has
Jay Glazer's out there.
Has Judge Greg Mathis.
With Michael Vick. Judge Mathis, he's big deal probably over in the Denver area. I guess I'm sure the game will be on in a couple minutes, but I don't think it starts till 4. My TV, I'm on YouTube TV, and it's saying that the game starts in 15 minutes, so roughly 4 o'clock. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and start breaking down some of the games from this Sunday. It was a weird one. I'm sure a lot of other people probably got boned like I did. Saints beat the Falcons 21-6. Taysom Hill 23 points. Kamara came back 17 points. Thomas 19. Traquan Smith 13 and Jared Cook 11. Hill looked better as a passer. Kamara got involved. We saw Cook get involved as well, a guy we kind of left for dead. Are you becoming a believer in Taysom Hill?
I thought he looked a lot better as a passer, which was nice. And that I was, as a Kamara player, someone who has leaned on Kamara all season and believed in Kamara, I was excited to see him actually have a good game. He didn't have a ton in the receiving game, but he ran better, got into the end zone, at least seemed to get more involved. And it seemed like they were using him a lot more than Latavius Murray. So maybe the last couple of weeks, maybe they were just giving him a break. Maybe they were, when they were playing Denver, they probably weren't that worried about winning. So they're like, Latavius, take it off. But I think he's getting better, and you're seeing he's 3-0. You're seeing a path to where he could be the guy. I think both you and I think Breeze probably done after this year. So it would be nice to see them figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they take anybody in the draft. They did pay Taysom Hill a lot of money this offseason, so maybe they do plan on keeping him as the guy moving forward. Nobody knows with Sean Payton, so
at least one more year, maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, he's definitely obviously helped Kamara bounce back a little bit. Although you probably weren't playing Jared Cook at this point with as bad as he's been the past couple of weeks with Taysom Hill, if you had the balls to do it, he came through for you with those 11 points. We'll see if that continues. Obviously, Atlanta's passing defense has kind of been one of those get-right defenses for fantasy offenses. So I don't know how much we'll take away from this, but it was good to see all those guys get involved, especially in Week 13 if you were really needing a win. to get into the playoffs. On Atlanta's side, Matt Ryan, 12 points, Gurley, 3, Julio Jones, 15, Calvin Ridley, 15, and Hayden Hurst, 1. Atlanta's offense continues to struggle here. What are your thoughts on them moving forward? I think for me, the only guys I'm trusting are Julio and Ridley. I feel like we've both kind of jumped off the Gurley train a couple weeks ago anyways, but Matt Ryan has really not been playing well.
Yeah, I mean, Gurley seems to be, if you get a touchdown, you're there, but he didn't look great running. Their team didn't look great running. Ryan's been a little inconsistent. Might help if they're not playing the Saints defense. The Saints defense is pretty good. But we haven't seen a good game from them probably in 2 or 3 weeks. Even last week when they blew out the Raiders, it wasn't really because the offense was doing a ton. Hayden Hurst has an incredible story for my cause, my cleats, but we haven't seen him do a lot in his cleats last few weeks. I know that's been tough. They just feel out of sync, and I think there's a lot of questions about what Atlanta's going to be going forward. So, as we turn into the fantasy playoffs, guys like Julio and Ridley are still playing, but you probably have other options other than Gurley, or you wouldn't be in the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If you drafted him in, say, the 4th, 5th, 6th round of your fantasy redraft leagues, he's paid off for you for the most part. Like, you got your value out of him. Getting him that late as an RB2, I don't know if you can trust on him moving forward. This whole offense just does not look great. I mean, Julio and Ridley, I'm trusting just because of the volume they get at receiver. I've pivoted off of Hayden Hurst, not quick enough, as it's probably not going to save my fantasy seasons at this point. But for me, I'm with you. Julio and Ridley moving forward. Lions beat the Bears here 34-30. Stafford, 26 points. AP, 17. Marvin Jones, 25. Quintez Cephas, 14. And TJ Hawkins at 15 as well. The team released Marvin Hall and took a look at younger guys here like Quintez Cephas. Do you think he is a good buy low for Dynasty?
I do. I think we've seen him have a couple of good games. Allegedly, that's why they released Marvin Hall, was to take a look at some of their younger players and to see what they could do. I know there was, obviously they used Mohamed Sanu yesterday, so it wasn't all younger guys. But Marvin Jones, you figure may not. We had talked about before. Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola. You don't know if they're going to be there. You don't know what the situation is with Galladay. It's been a real lost season with Galladay. Cephas was a guy that I liked and wrote about a little bit for Dynasty Nerds preseason. I thought he had a clearer path to playing, and we've seen some of those guys who have had a clearer path where there isn't great depth or great options behind a main guy get on the field. I was encouraged by what I saw yesterday. I think Detroit basically yesterday and the next 4 weeks are kind of auditioning for the future, because we already know they removed the GM, they removed the coach. They're going to make some changes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cephas is a guy I know I believe both you and Dennis were kind of high on him coming out of the draft, at least with the landing spot there in Detroit. He might be primed for a very big breakout second year, especially if they don't bring back Galladay, because he will be a free agent. So we'll see what they do there. But I'm with you. Cephas, if you can buy him, I would. I don't know how much he would cost for some dynasty owners. I know some people have been high on him. Some people may not even know who he is still. But I'm with you. I'd buy on him if I could. On Chicago's side here, Mitch Trubisky, 13 points. David Montgomery, 27. Allen Robinson, 13. And Cole Kmet, 14. Montgomery has been on a tear. Do you like him moving forward through the fantasy playoffs?
He's looked really good. I think it's going to depend some on matchups, but I was encouraged that Chicago actually ran the ball 31 times yesterday. I think we've talked about the week before, it was a big play, but they hadn't really, 11 carries, you're on the fence. He got 17 carries yesterday, and he's getting passing game work. I am a little bit encouraged by that, and I think at the very least, I feel good about him being a solid RB2.
Yeah, I would say as long as Mitch Trubisky is the starter, I am good with David Montgomery. I think that's been the biggest thing, is that in college, we saw what me and Dennis fell in love with David Montgomery is that he is great when he has a quarterback who plays under center. That's just where he seems to run better out of. When Nick Foles is out there, they play shotgun a lot more. David Montgomery's just not that kind of runner. So I do think if Mitch is out there, David Montgomery is good to go. We've seen it whenever Mitch is out there, David Montgomery just looks like a completely different back. So as long as they don't say, hey, we're starting Nick Foles next week, I'm with you. I'm firing up David Montgomery.
Do you think they're going to go back to Foles? I think they've looked better with Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, it's funny because we both have a ton of respect for Nick Whalen, who, is a great just football mind. He's coached it, not in the NFL, but he's coached college, high school, very good at scouting. And he's been very on the fence, or not on the fence, very adamant that Nick Foles should be the starter. So I don't know. I'm with you. I feel like Mitch has looked better for that offense. Now, maybe that's because I look through it with my Allen Robinson glasses on, where he just seems to play so much better with Mitch. But I just don't see how they can go back to him. I mean, I know that they were pretty much 5-0, and Mitch won 2 of those, and then they brought Foles in, and he kind of rolled off the next 3 because he came in the end of whatever, like the second half of that third win, but they were behind.
I think it was of the 4th win.
Was it? I thought it was the 3rd because I thought they were behind in that game, and then Foles came in and brought him back, and they won because they were down like 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. They come back and win it.
Maybe they were 2-1 with Trubisky, and then Foles came in.
Yeah, so I think that they've looked better. So I would keep Mitch out there. Next up, the game, and now I couldn't get the highlights cut up just yet, but I gotta give a little love to my guy.
Warm-up's not really, but when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Total yards, Tennessee had 28.
And the Browns had the ball for almost 12 minutes.
Nick Chubb lines up as a fullback in front of Kareem Hunt. 3rd down and goal. Mayfield's going to throw. He throws, end zone, touchdown, Kendall Lamb.
We're opening up the back pages of the playbook today.
Now, don't be jealous, Doug. Austin Hooper trying to get lined up. Donovan Peoples-Jones trying to get lined up. He'll go wide right. Hunt in the backfield. Hooper now goes down tight to the line. Harrison Bryant motions back into the backfield. Mayfield from under center. Play action fake. Bootlegs it out to the right. He's throwing down the right sideline. He's got Peoples-Jones wide open. He's gone. 20, 10, 5, touchdown! 75 yards on one play. And that touchdown is brought to you by Universal Windows Direct.
I love Baker Mayfield, man. I love him. What a fucking game by that guy right there. I especially love that last gif. I don't know if you saw that. I retweeted out to run 45 yards down the field and celebrate that touchdown with Hollywood Higgins. Amazing. But obviously had an amazing game here as the Browns beat the Titans 41-35. Final score is not indicative of that game. The Browns controlled that game for the most part. Baker Mayfield, 29 points. Nick Chubb, 17. Jarvis Landry, 20. And Rashard Higgins, 21. Baker, the touchdown Baker, is back. The Browns come up big. How are you feeling about their offense?
You know, I said last week I thought it was encouraging to see them be able to win by passing. Because there were going to be times where if you're too predictable, that's where you get into trouble. And I think they did that again. They came out and kind of blew Tennessee out of the water. It looked like Tennessee was ready to receive Chubb and Hunt. The only thing that then, if you're going back to fantasy, you might start worrying about the viability. We had Hunt up there almost as an RB1 for a while. Yeah. Now low end RB2. Because now they're actually getting everybody involved. And it was, just about the time we talked about, no, we can't play Jarvis Landry anymore. He should be in your lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of the 2 QB leagues where I have Baker in the super flex, I'm feeling better about that today. Yeah. The past couple of weeks, it's, Herbert's been carrying my Herbert Baker super flex this week. Baker did that job. Carrying our boy Herbert. So I think they look good. 9-3. Next week's a big test to me too. Yep.
Yeah, it is.
You come out and you do the same thing and hip check the Ravens. You're on the way to not just making the playoffs, but potentially, if they can get that 5th seed, you're talking about possibly getting Tennessee again or Indianapolis, because it feels like the South winner is now sinking towards that 4. I mean, you could be right back to this game that we saw yesterday. And honestly, what changes for Tennessee? Their defense, I don't know. Tennessee and now Indianapolis, their defense has been a little bit of a liability the last few weeks. I mean, Indianapolis, we'll talk about them in a minute, should have lost to the Texans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. I feel like Tennessee scares me more than Indy for some reason. I don't know why.
They
They
have a
scare
better
me a
offense.
little bit more.
They have a
Yeah.
real offense.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great game. I paid a lot of attention to the stuff Stefanski was saying after the game, and I love that he brought up exactly what you said, and that's why I've been posting everywhere. This is how you can see how much coaching matters. If we would have hired Stefanski last year instead of Freddie Kitchens, I think this is the team we would have seen last year. And so to see it now, like, it's still hard for some Browns fans to believe we're this good, but Stefanski has completely flipped the mindset of this team. He brought up what you said, like, hey, we came out there and we wanted to throw the ball in the Titans because we knew they were looking to stop us from running the ball. So what did we do? We flipped the script. We threw the ball so that then we could then run the ball later in the game. And it worked out magnificently. And I think it goes back to, too, for me, stuff that I said at the beginning of the year. We needed to wait to see what Baker did coming out of the bye week because, again, new offense, new offensive coordinator, new system, no real offseason. And I was trying to pull it up, what he's done. I'll bring it up tomorrow, but I know outside of the fumble, which happened yesterday, he hasn't had a turnover since week 5. He has not thrown an interception. And then he obviously had the fumble on the keeper yesterday, which it is what it is. I honestly don't care about that. But, I mean, that's the one turnover he's had since week 5. He's been a lot better.
Did you see his interview afterward?
No. No, I don't think so.
They asked him, what has helped and stuff. And he just looked at the camera and he was like, I asked myself, is this something an idiot would do? And if the answer is yes, I just don't do that.
Hey, I love it. I love the swaggers coming back. I love it all. And I'm with you. This week is going to be the big test on Monday Night Football. Can they come out? And we've seen Stefanski get, in my opinion, stymied twice. I know some people said that he got outcoached in the Raiders game. I don't necessarily think so. I think that was more just a weather thing. They were in the game for the entire game. It was just they got beat. Baltimore and John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin and the Steelers outcoached Stefanski, in my opinion. They could not make any adjustments. It was just a bad game. Can that switch? Because I will say I think Vrabel is a very good coach for what he's been able to do with Tennessee. Vrabel and that defense could not figure out how to stop that offense yesterday, and that's what you love to see. So can they do that against the big boys? We will find out Monday night. As for Tennessee, they did come back in this game. They came out in the second half and started getting their offense rolling a little bit. The only player that really didn't get rolling was Derrick Henry. You got Tannehill coming in with 27 points, Henry just 5, Corey Davis 35 points, and A.J. Brown 10. I will say I do think the ankle injury came into play a little bit there with Brown in the second half because he looked almost unstoppable in the first half. He was on fire. I think the ankle injury might have hampered him a little bit more in that second half. But Tennessee's liability on defense was too big. Is this going to hurt them in their playoff chances?
Yeah, I mean, I think that defense is killer. It's their offense has played pretty well, but we've talked about at times, them having to just try to score 1,000,000 points. And that's kind of what happened yesterday. Your offense can't be what you want it to be if you're down. They got down huge. They were down 17-0. They fight their way down there and score, and then immediately that defense just gets blown out of the water on the Donovan Peoples-Jones 75-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden you're down 24-7. Yeah. I think that defense is a huge liability. That's what happened in their first game with the Colts. They were pretty even, and then all of a sudden they're just down 17 points. And they can come back a little bit, but it's tough to come back all the way, and I think that makes them, even though I think they probably hold on and win the South, I think that's a liability that starts to rear its ugly head a lot more. You think about the teams. Cleveland probably going to be up in there. Buffalo has a pretty good pass offense. Steelers have a dang good pass offense, and we just saw Tyreek Hill go for almost 300 yards in week 11, and Travis Kelce looked like an unstoppable warrior. The next week, if you can't defend against the pass, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if they're able to make any changes, because very flippant on defense. We've seen some weeks they've been very good and other weeks they haven't. I'll go back to just the Colts game. Was that last week, right? They played the Colts last week. They looked a lot better against that offense. There's been other teams that they've actually played. Buffalo, they stymied as well. Like, they've looked good against good offenses, and then other times they don't. Now, I don't want to say the Browns aren't a good offense, because I do think they are, but it's one of those things where I wonder – I think Tennessee's defense is good enough that if they get fired up for a game, they can win you a game, but they're not going to be consistent if they make the playoffs, which I do expect them to do. But they're definitely not the playoff. They're not the defense we saw last year, which I think could have carried them to a Super Bowl. Next up, the Dolphins beating the Bengals here 19-7 on
this was an ugly game.
Yeah. Both on the field and emotions as well. Bernard just 4 points. Tyler Boyd 14 before he got ejected. The Bengals, I guess, are you avoiding them for your fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, their thing looked ugly. And Tyler Boyd got a 72-yard touchdown, or else his day does not look like that. Yeah. Bernard, we've talked about, it wasn't just Mixon and Burrow that were having trouble behind that offensive line. Everybody is, and Brandon Allen's no Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that is for sure. On Miami's side, we saw Tua was ready and available, and he did play. He gets you 16 points. Myles Gaskin returns from the IR and gets you 14 points. They did not hold him back one bit. Parker gets you 7 points before he as well gets ejected, and Mike Gesicki comes up big. He had mentioned that he was Tua's go-to guy. Sure looked like it in this one, getting 23 points. Ugly game. What are you thinking of the Dolphins moving forward, who, again, are right in the thick of a playoff race and move back to Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback?
And I thought he looked okay. It was a little bit of a sluggish start. They were behind for a while, but then coming out, and it's been nice to see Mike Gesicki come on, a guy that we thought was going to have a good year, ends up having doing pretty well. I don't think he's as good for fantasy as Fitzpatrick was, especially for consistency of probably Parker and some of the wide receivers, but he's been playing pretty good. I didn't even think he played that poorly against Denver. They had trouble blocking at times, and he was missing a few guys, but I think they can be a playoff team. I don't know how seriously I would take them as a challenger right now. They probably need some other pieces and some other things, but they've steadily just crept along. 8-4 is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, so they're the 6th seed right now, last I saw, correct? So that would put them up against Buffalo? Oof, that'd be a good one, I think.
Yeah, because, you're talking about kind of...
Buffalo would be the 4th seed or 3 seed, right?
Strength against strength. Yeah, Buffalo right now is tracking to be the 3rd seed. Apparently, the football game is not being played here.
Oh, really? For you guys? It's on TV for me. It's about to start. I need Deontay Johnson to have the game of games tonight, otherwise I'm out.
Fox in Colorado has decided to play the People's Court, and let me tell you, I would like to file a grievance.
I imagine it's got to be on TV somewhere. I know it's Fox for me, Channel 4. I don't know.
It says Fox is the national. It's not on FS1.
Yeah. That sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie, that sucks. I mean, I don't really want to be watching it because I have a feeling like I'm just tormenting myself at this point. There's almost no way I make it back. Fucking Patriots defense bullshit. So I'm probably gonna.
My God, that game.
I know, because I had Herbert going as my quarterback too, and it's just that. Yeah. Anyways, speaking of the Browns and the Detroit Lions, and the Lions cutting Marvin Hall, the Browns have claimed Marvin Hall off waivers, so Marvin Hall could be coming to the Cleveland Browns now. Apparently, I think that's mostly because of Kadarius Hodge being out.
Maybe as a depth hedge. I don't know about you, but I thought Peoples-Jones looked okay. Higgins has looked good. Landry's looked good. I don't know if I would mess with my.
No, I don't think he's going to be a fantasy guy or anything for that. I just think it's more of a depth thing. I think Hodge being out for the past 2 weeks is more of he's going to be probably going back on IR. It's blacked out locally in a bunch of the country. Well, it's not blacked out for me, so let's go. Although I do have on YouTube TV. I don't know if that matters or not because I've seen a lot of games that supposedly say they're blacked out and I've been able to watch. So I don't know, but I'll have it on. You can watch me get really pissed off as Juju goes for like 20 points in this one and knocks me out of my really only big playoff chase league right now. The Vikings win against the Jaguars 27-24. James Robinson, 22 points. Laviska Shenault, 15. Man, am I glad I didn't play DJ Chark because he did absolutely nothing.
My friend had Chark going in a game that he needed to win. And
I was this close to doing it. And at the last minute, I was like, I'm just going to leave Zeke in. I've rode with him all season. Might as well just do it. Jaguars almost pull off the win here. But should they be trying to win?
I mean, I really don't.
I don't. That's right. I forgot about that. Do you have Sunday ticket, Matt? No, I would assume not because you've got Denver or you're in Denver.
I know. I don't have Sunday ticket, and that is what it's saying. That's
I think they said yesterday. I think they said yesterday it's free though. When I was watching Red Zone, I could have swore Andrew Siciliano said you can go to the Red Zone channel and it's free for anybody who wants to watch it tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that's what he said.
Yeah, they are. It looks like they are showing it. So
yeah, I'm almost positive now that I think about it. Thank you, Dennis. Look at that. Chiming in on the Sunday check. Yeah, I was about to say, I thought Andrew Siciliano said that because I had Red Zone up after the Browns game yesterday.
Either it's for free or I hit something and I've bought something for a couple $100, but my wife won't know because she doesn't look at my.
It won't be a couple $100 now at this point. You only got a couple more weeks left. It'll be like, it'll probably be like 140. But anyways,
yeah, you don't know AT&T. AT&T, if they can find a way to screw you.
Oh, trust me, I have AT&T, so I know. Yeah. I understand.
So back to the game. Yeah, Chark, man, I don't know. They should not be trying to. It was kind of fascinating yesterday. We've talked about it. Marone is trying to win. I think he's making no bones about it. I don't think they should be trying to win, but both them and the Jets, you would think to yourself, guys, just play it out. You know, the Jets got so upset about losing, they fired the defensive coordinator this morning. I'm like, dude, did you a favor?
But, yeah, for sure.
Jaguars, come back, tie the game, force it into overtime, and they had to hit a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. I don't think they should be trying to win, but darn sure looks like they are trying to win. And if the first play of the game isn't a deep pass to James Washington, this is going to be a great day.
Really? Oh man, I'm not. I'm on YouTube TV, so it's behind. I didn't know that. I mean, look, as long as it's not Juju and Deontay and Zeke come up big, I'm good. Let's not give the ball to Juju at all, if possible. Let's, I'm sure other people are counting on him.
That's your personal feeling?
Can he roll his ankle and be out for the rest of the game? I'd appreciate it. I need this, all right? I really do need this. It's not he didn't catch it. I thought maybe he caught it.
No, he didn't catch it. But the fact that they're targeting James Johnson, I'm waiting for Ray McLeod.
Well, you know what? That's the bad thing.
Wait, I think that is who. Yes. Good God. I'm going to have to turn this off. Pittsburgh, come on.
I think that's what they actually said, though, because of the secondary that Washington has. I know I was listening to someone this morning saying that is the matchup, actually, is James Washington. Because you got Darby on Claypool, and I can't remember who is going to be on, Deontay. So that's whatever. I've resigned myself to the loss already. Second year in a row, I'm not going to make the playoffs in this league after winning 3 of 4. It's very, very.
Last time I looked, they didn't resurrect the Legion of Boom and put them in Washington to cover all these wide receivers.
Well, that's true, but
you have to play.
Their defense is pretty good.
Ray McLeod.
No, I don't think you.
I agree that if Benny Snell is your only option, you're probably not into running.
I don't think they're going to run anyways. Yeah, we talked about this last week.
5 carries.
What's it? Is it Randy Finger? I mean, he threw the ball 50 times last week, and what was set up to be a run first game. So yeah, I don't think they're going to run it much today either. But
yeah,
I'm with you on Jacksonville. I mean, it's easy for us to say they shouldn't be winning because we want them to get a good quarterback, but the players are out there because they want to win, obviously, and Doug Marrone does too. He doesn't want to sit there and his final season, the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach, be 1-15. So I'd imagine he's trying to win games. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins get 21, Dalvin Cook 23, Jefferson 27, Adam Thielen 21. The Vikings are back in the playoff race after struggling early, but they just struggled against the Jags and the Panthers at home. Do you think that they can really make it into the playoffs?
I think they can make it into the playoffs, if only because San Francisco has a tough road and the Cardinals are just struggling mightily.
Yeah.
But it has to give you a moment of pause. I thought they were actually going to lose to Carolina last week. They went all the way to the end, and here they let the Jaguars come all the way back and tie them, and you had to go. There was a minute 41 left in overtime when they kicked that field goal. It's not like they even put it away convincingly in overtime, but they've come a long way from a team that started 1-5 that started trading players. I thought they had given up on the season, and now if the playoffs start today, they're the 7th seed. So it's a matter of whether they can hold on. I think last night they were discussing on Football Night in America that on paper the Cardinals have an easier schedule. I don't know if I believe that with having to play the Rams again and some of the other teams that they're playing. They just don't look like they're right. The Vikings have a lot of offense. I don't know about that defense. They're another one that, their defense is even more of a liability than Tennessee. They have to put up a lot of points. But Kirk Cousins he's never, he's not been my favorite dude, but he has looked clutch when they've needed him, winning on Monday Night Football. They had a nice quality win against Green Bay in the second matchup, coming out looking a little better. So they've shown sparks of life, 5-1 in their last 6.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I guess good for them if they make it. I feel like that's the one thing Vikings fans don't want. They probably want the better draft pick at this point to try and help their team out. And they're probably going to end up finishing like 8-8.
I mean, if you've ended up as the 7th seed in the NFC, which will probably be the lowest of the playoff teams, you're really still kind of middle of the pack in the draft. And their biggest need has got to be offensive line or some defensive playmakers. You can usually get those kind of things in the middle of the first round.
Yeah, defensive help for sure. I don't know about offensive line. I think it's going to be kind of a weak class. I wouldn't be surprised if the top 3 guys are gone before we get to the Vikings. The Raiders miraculously pull off a win against the Jets.
Can we talk about for a minute? Had the Raiders lost that game, there's no way they make the playoffs, right? I mean, I'm still tenuous on them getting back into the playoffs if that's the way they're playing. But it looked like for a long time they were losing that game.
Yeah, I mean, if Greg Williams doesn't decide to call a 0 blitz with no time left and allow Henry Ruggs of all people to run free in the secondary is just beyond me.
When they did the long shot, that he could have hit the receiver on either side. The question partially was, I talked about Baker and kind of the swagger there with the, I just think, what would an idiot do? And then I don't do that. Derek Carr just tells, Gruden's prepared us so well. When I see them all coming for me, I know all I have to do is step up and put the ball in the receiver's hands. He literally had the same opportunity on the drive before and airmailed it out of the end zone. So I was a little bit like, bro.
Yeah, it was, I guess good for the Raiders, but Carr 31 points. Of course, Devontae Booker just 6, like we all predicted. Henry Ruggs 15, and Darren effing Waller, who I had to be going up against in like 6 of my 8 leagues that I was going to try and make the playoffs, in 45 points. I mean, Waller was just absolutely on fire in this one. And what are we doing with Booker now? Just hoping Josh Jacobs is back next week? Because if Josh Jacobs isn't on the field, Booker has no value whatsoever.
Well, it was a super bummer because it should have been a good matchup. I guess part of it, shockingly, is the Raiders got behind, so they had to throw a lot more. But that was probably the biggest. Well, no. When we get to Kansas City, that'll be the biggest kind of FU from a running back of the week. But this had probably, I'm guessing, cost a lot of people an opportunity to win, to move on, because it looked like a great waiver picker. I know I grabbed him in quite a few spots and was excited to slam him into my lineup.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of people that were. I didn't get him in any of mine, but I know a bunch of people who were excited to get him. And there was quite a few players, him, Justin Herbert as well, who unfortunately just killed you in your biggest week. I mean, the 1 week I needed him to do what he's been doing, he comes up short. The Jets side here, Darnold, 20 points. Ty Johnson, 19, and Jamison Crowder, 21. The Jets nearly win this, but the defense blows it. Greg Williams did get fired for that, although I think he should have been promoted to head coach. What do I know?
Or promoted to GM.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Football operations.
I guess
the
in a
only dude in the
way,
building was like, wait. Are we about to lose Trevor Lawrence? I guess they wanted to win. I don't know.
I get it. You don't want to go 0-16. It's not a stigma you want on your franchise. I understand. My team has done it, but man, like you want Trevor Lawrence, right?
Is Gase literally doing some of these things to try to prove that he's doing a good coaching job? And you know what? Miraculously, they may actually have some talented players. A couple of notes from this game. First, I had Jamison Crowder in my lineup all week in a league that I needed to win. But on Sunday, I started thinking, Crowder hasn't been very good and the Jets suck. And I put Noah Fant in and watched Crowder score 2 touchdowns in the first half and thought to myself, that's about right. That's the most 2020 thing in the world. And then I'm guessing, Gore, wonderful career. I don't think they're bringing P. Ryan back. Ty Johnson looked really good. What do you think about him? I mean, I'm thinking that could be an interesting pickup. I know the Raiders aren't great against the rush, but that to me stood out quite a bit.
Yeah, I know. I was going up against Crowder in one of those leagues, and I almost counted it as a win because, this dude's playing Crowder. He's sucked the past couple weeks, so I'm good to go. And then, nope.
Sam Darnold finally remembered that his man crush was playing wide receiver for him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Jamison. Sorry, I missed you the last 2 weeks."
Just a horrible week for me. But you know who wasn't horrible for me? Jonathan Taylor, baby. Colts beat the Texans 26-20. Jonathan Taylor, 22 points. Naheem Hines, 12. And, of course, T.Y. Hilton, who everyone left for dead as well a couple weeks ago, 25 points. It's back-to-back games now for T.Y. Hilton. Has he moved his way back into your lineups?
I mean, theoretically, he didn't die, so he should have been, a valid option. It just seemed like with Rivers on the offense, he had become a complete afterthought, but it does seem like they're back to getting him involved and trying to get him the ball. I'm kind of bummed out that we've seen Pittman take a little bit of a step backward, but I don't know. Part of me thinks we're back in the situation where we really shouldn't trust any of the Colts receivers because you don't know which one is going to get the ball. But if you drafted Hilton, and you held on to him, there are worse lottery tickets, I guess, at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's in my opinion, he's completely killed Michael Pittman's value. So why not throw him in your lineups? Maybe you're going to be right. It's either going to be Michael Pittman or T.Y. Hilton. It seems at this point because Phillip Rivers on that offense can't support 2 wide receivers. So hopefully you pick the right one every week if you've got them both. On Houston's side, Deshaun Watson, 19 points. David Johnson, 10, and Kiki Kuti, 22 points. What do you think of, is it Kiki Kuti? Kuti. What do you think of him moving forward?
We saw him come in a couple of weeks ago and have a decent role when they were down some receivers. It seemed like they were getting him the ball. He and, of course, the other guy that stepped up was Chad Hansen. I know we all had that in the office pool.
Yeah.
Cooks can't be their only guy. Stills was cut. Fuller can't come back. Cobb's on IR. Kuti a couple of years ago, seemed like he was stepping up at a point in time when Will Fuller was missing. He had a few nice games, made you think he might be something. He sort of just got buried down on the depth chart.
Why is Juju mad?
Because he dropped the ball.
Fuck yeah, good. Go ahead, Juju. I'm just kidding, Juju. I love you. Don't go.
Apparently, Pittsburgh has still not gotten over the dropsies. But somebody's got to emerge.
Yeah.
it was a tough day for Houston. You got to feel bad. They kept doing those sideline shots of the look on J.J. Watt's face when the snap went away from Watson, and they just basically lost at the end when they were about to upend the Colts.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of season for Houston, but Coutier's a guy I stashed in a couple of places and picked up. I think that's another guy could be interesting for the playoffs, depending on who all you have available.
Yeah, just a little update as we were just talking about Booker a minute ago. Looks like Josh Jacobs is likely going to be out this week as well, per John Gruden. So if you got Booker, I guess
I'm gonna go look.
Guess fire him up. Yeah,
well, I mean, we've seen him look good. The Raiders in general, the last couple of weeks, I don't know if they're just slumping to the finish again or what. Yeah. They're playing the Colts.
Yikes!
I don't know how good.
I'm not sure I'm firing up Booker.
Well, you know what? That's an incredible must-win game for both teams, really.
Yep. Well, Colts have now jumped. Colts should be at the top of the division now because Tennessee lost yesterday and they won, so they could still. I don't know if they can lose and stay in first place because I don't know what the AFC tiebreakers are. I would imagine they would go back to being out of the wild card because they were out of it.
They're tied record-wise, and Tennessee gets Jacksonville. So if the Colts lose and Tennessee wins, they're going to be a game back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're tied.
Playing the kind of chase position. That's why
I don't see Titans losing to Jacksonville.
And the way the AFC, you have an 8-4 Dolphins team. The Raiders are now 7-5. Baltimore, you figure, probably goes to 7-5. There's not a lot of leeway, as we've talked about in the AFC. Even the Patriots now seem to have recovered themselves and are making this kind of hard charge. I told you wouldn't want to play any of their guys probably in fantasy, but they were going to win that game. And that's, special teams, defense.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's what I'm upset about with the Patriots. Although I did pick the Chargers to win. It's going to end up costing me. I had the Browns game. It looks like nobody else picked the Browns in the pick'em but me, and I could have gained a game on Justin there in the pick'em, but me picking the Chargers over the Patriots did not help me any. So,
hey, you like who you like?
No, I thought that this could be the one game that Herbert and them kind of get that upset win, and
when you picked the Chargers on Friday, I was thinking to myself I have a great feeling about this Patriots pick, but I just feel like. It's one of those games where you're like, they suck, they shouldn't win, and they're going to clock someone.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those where I kind of forgot about how good Bill Belichick has been against rookie quarterbacks as well. And then someone brought it up during the game, and I was like, shit, this is going to be it, isn't it? And then sure enough, defense goes insane. Anyways, so Rams beat the Cardinals here 38-28. Goff 24 points, Akers 16, Henderson 15, Woods 18, Kupp 15, and Tyler Higbee 12. Big win for the Rams. They're now the front runners in the NFC West as Seattle lost to the Giants of all teams. Do the Rams stay there, though?
That's the thing. I think I'm feeling a little better about the Rams. We thought they were going to split with the Cardinals and probably lose this game because, to me, this was a must-win for Arizona, and they kind of choked. September Seattle looked unbeatable. November, December Seattle looks questionable. And the Rams just kind of, they're not incredibly flashy. They're not blowing anyone away, but they've been steady. And I think defensively, they've made some improvements, and that's what's really helping them. They can make some of those plays. Jalen Ramsey is back to looking more like the kind of shutdown corner we've seen in the past, which is a real weapon. It's going to be a fight down to the finish, but I don't know if I feel good betting on Seattle right now because they look like they have some serious problems that aren't going away.
Oof, Antonio Gibson got hurt. That's not good.
He just had a big run.
They said he's limping off the field. I didn't see it. I'm behind. I'm getting Twitter updates, unfortunately. It goes back to something I brought up a couple weeks ago, and I'm curious to figure out is we saw the past couple years, we've seen Wilson struggle mightily to start off the year, and then we get to that halfway point, and he just goes ballistic. And now we saw him go ballistic earlier in the year, and then it looks like he's just nobody can figure out what's going on with them. I'm curious to see if he can turn it around, but I'm with you. I think, Sean's the guy. Hey, Sean, by the way, I talked to Mom. She says hello. Call her. She misses you. But anyways, yeah, I'm all in on the Rams now, baby. I'm all in. Let's go.
So is it more like Kyler who?
Yeah, exactly. No, I still hope he wins the MVP because he's my MVP pick. But Kyler Murray, 16 points for the Rams.
Has a non-playoff team ever had the winning MVP?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I think
maybe.
I think you meant Captain Kirk was your MVP.
No, that's never going to happen. But I do love me some Captain Kirk. I'll always be on the Captain Clutch train. DeAndre Hopkins, 19 points. So he definitely shut me up and thinking Ramsey might be able to slow him down. And Dan Arnold, 20 points. Matt Berry's guy, right? Isn't that the guy Dennis brought up was Matt Berry's guy? Look at him.
I mean, it helps that he had one pass for 59 yards.
I was just being facetious and him being an actual relevant tight end. Do the Cardinals need another receiver opposite of Hopkins to keep defenses honest?
Yeah, it seems weird to say because for a while we were making fun of them. It seemed like they took 1 million wide receivers. Obviously, they gave up on.
Yeah, shouldn't have given up on Hakeem Butler. That's what you get.
Or the fact that they have this glaring need, and Hakeem Butler's playing tight end he's playing fifth string tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles probably tells you something. But I think they do. Christian Kirk's not consistent enough to pull things away, and I think we've seen the last few weeks that teams are blanketing Hopkins, and they're shadowing and spying on.
That's roughing the kicker. Damn it! I need the Steelers to have the ball.
Speaking of limping off the field, oh God, Gibson, you're right. It looks like he's got the shoe off. I'm gonna cry. Anyway, the Cardinals, they haven't gotten as much, I think, consistently out of Drake and Edmonds as I thought they might. Christian Kirk, we've seen him have some explosive games, but it's more been on these kind of huge explosive plays, which is what we saw. Arnold has 20 points, but he gets you like 16 of those points on one play. They've had a couple of big plays, but I don't think they have enough consistency opposite DeAndre Hopkins, and it is hurting them. Teams have figured out, much like we've talked about Lamar Jackson, teams were not going to forever not be able to stop you. Teams are now spying on Murray. They're keeping him in the pocket. They're trying to make him pass, and it doesn't look like he has the weapons. And it's weird to think a team that traded for DeAndre Hopkins and has seemingly drafted so many wide receivers with Cliff Kingsbury really has a problem. And I think part of what's hurting him now is Fitzgerald being out, not having that veteran guy that he's not what he once was, but he's still a guy defenses have to look at. They need something probably, and they need something defensively. They have a defensive coordinator that I'm not a fan of. Was obviously Denver's head coach for a while. Their defense has failed them, and if you took away that kind of Hail Murray to DeAndre Hopkins there, you're looking at a team that's 5-7 that hasn't won in over a month.
Yeah, I mean, if they do end up drafting a wide receiver, is it Steve Keim, right? Is he the general manager for the Arizona Cardinals? Just Amari Rodgers, Tamori Terry, Tutu Atwell. There you go. You need yourself a slot wide receiver because you need someone in the short area of the field that's going to help out Kyler Murray, someone he can dump the ball off to because if Larry Fitzgerald was not hurt, or no, he went out with COVID, didn't he?
He's out with COVID, yeah, and he's been out for a few weeks with COVID. We've seen Andy Isabella at times, but that doesn't really seem like.
I try to tell people back then he wasn't good. Just because he got drafted over Hakeem Butler doesn't mean you're good.
I mean, you have him, you have Keyshawn Johnson, who they've tried to
not
get.
Good.
Well, yeah, obviously none of it's worked out.
That's my point.
Even Christian Kirk, I think I'm leaning. For a while there, I thought maybe he was actually showing you he could be a complimentary, but I think he's like a third receiver kind of guy.
The issue with Kirk is I think he's a slot wide receiver, and they're trying to force him to play on the outside, and that's just not his game. I think that's the biggest issue. Like, I really think if they draft, so I guess you shouldn't draft Let me see here. Chris Olave, go Tyler Wallace, Terrace Marshall. Well, Terrace Marshall probably go in the first round. Get someone opposite of Hopkins, like you were talking about. And you move Kirk into the slot, I actually think he will blow up next year. But he's just not an outside wide receiver, in my opinion. That's and when they drafted him, that's what I said. I was like, okay, so you guys drafted the heir apparent for Larry Fitzgerald, who I thought was going to retire after a year, and then he's played like 3 more. So it's been one of those things
hanging in there, and you'd like to see him at least get back to the playoffs. I think that's what he's hanging in there because he thinks they can do it, and they've been so tantalizingly close. They could get in this year, and that would be a great story. I just don't think they can really compete until they get something else. They're a little too one-dimensional.
This is a flag fest going on over here.
Pittsburgh has looked flat the last couple. Maybe playing on a weekday afternoon doesn't suit them.
All right, so Giants, as we mentioned, pull the upset on the Seahawks, 17-12 here. Wayne Gallman, 13 points. Alfred Morris, of course, gets a rushing and receiving touchdown, 17 points. Evan Ingram, 7. Are the Giants for real? I believe you picked them to win the NFC East on a second. I went with Washington. Oh, Dennis did? Okay. I know I went Washington, so.
I picked the Cowboys, so.
Gotcha.
I have no.
Well, technically, they're all still in it, so.
That was pre-Thanksgiving before I realized that they sucked. Although I guess I had 11 weeks of evidence.
Yeah, we've had some evidence beforehand, but I understand still believing in them.
So find somebody who believes in you and loves you as much as Jason Garrett believes and loves in Alfred Morris.
Yeah,
I mean that's really the. But Gallman has looked good. Ingram has stayed healthy and has looked good. Joe Judge seems to, maybe much like we talked about Flores, by this time last year, we were kind of seeing the Dolphins showing up on, buying into that culture, playing pretty well defensively, getting it done offensively. The Giants have that same kind of feel, only they're actually in a division where 6 or 7 wins gets you to the promised land. They're 5-7 now. Even if Washington wins, Washington would be behind them because they got swept. So Washington actually has to get a game ahead of the Giants to even be able to win. The Eagles, a game and a half back, look lost. The Cowboys, I imagine, will be 2 full games back after they lose tomorrow. The Giants look pretty good. This was not one of the games we thought was one of their winnable games. When we looked at their schedule and we thought it was more favorable, none of us were like, chalk up a win in Seattle. And then the Giants might get back to 500, which would be it would make us feel better as football fans that every team in the playoffs was at least 500 or better. But that seemed like an impossibility a few weeks ago, and they've made us believers. Colt McCoy beats Russell Wilson in Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't care if they're 500 or not. I just want to see him play a good game. And hey, you know what? I'll say it again. I've been saying for weeks now, this defense is actually pretty good, and nobody else wants to seem to give them credit. Their defense is pretty good. If they can get legit offensive play from which I think they've been saying Daniel Jones won't be out that long. So, I don't know who they play next week, but if they can keep not turning the ball over.
If you continue down this path, based on what we've been seeing right now, and the Rams are able to hold serve, Seattle has to go to the New York Giants to open the playoffs. That would be probably your 5-4 matchup.
That's all right.
But that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious.
Yeah. On Seattle's side, Wilson 15 points, Chris Carson 20, DK Metcalf 13, Tyler Lockett 12. Should you be worried about your Seattle Seahawks players as we move into the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, because they've looked real mortal for a while there. Lockett and Metcalf seem like pretty fair bets to be, if not both wide receiver ones, a wide receiver 1 and a high wide. But, the passing game hasn't looked steady. Wilson hasn't looked comfortable. Carson's been okay, but not exceptional. Seattle has some issues, and they still have to play the Rams again. I think that game takes on a lot more meaning as we go down the stretch here. And Seattle has to play some teams that have playoff aspirations. They are running out of time to get it together. They have cooled way off from what they look like in the first part of the year. No one's talking about Russell Wilson in the MVP discussion anymore.
Old James Washington out here having the game of his life today.
And Ray McLeod, and it looks like we're going to get some Anthony McFarland. This is 2020, guys.
Like everybody needed. Yeah, I mean, really, I think the Seahawks. Well, I guess you can't say the Jets are a gimme matchup, but I mean, I'm with you. Their last three matchups are not easy, and Washington, who we've seen them play good teams, and again, it's early, obviously, but so far they've done a good job here against Pittsburgh, and then you get Rams 49ers. So it's gonna be tough.
Well, and oddly, the Jets are seemingly trying to get it done. Wouldn't that be funny if the Jets lost Trevor Lawrence and beating Russell Wilson?
Yes and no. I mean, I would hate it just because I don't want to see Fields end up with the Jets. So that's why I would hate it, because I'm pretty sure that would put Jacksonville as the number one pick. And then, it'd be great for Chark. Whichever one Chark gets, he's going to be fine. And Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I'd hate to see Justin Fields go to the Jets, man. Poor kid. It'd probably ruin his career.
Among the many things that we can hold against Mike Glennon, I think forgetting that DJ Chark played for your team has got to be pretty high up there.
Yeah, especially because I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like you probably aren't going to be a big fan. I don't know. Maybe you're supportive of his or not. I can't remember. But all the rumors are that if because I guess they can't say that he will be fired, if Gase gets fired, that it's the Josh McDaniels show coming to the New York Jets.
Well, then you should hope no one that you like ends up in the Jets.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be that good, so I'm fine going him to the Jets. Let's keep Fields away from him if possible.
There are jock straps waiting to be washed around the country that have more coaching acumen than Josh McDaniels.
Hey, hire Sean McVay's brother. I'm available. I play a lot of Madden. I think I know what I'm doing. I'm just kidding. I would be horrible. Packers beat the Eagles 32-16. For Philly side, Jalen Hurts 9 points, Greg Ward 14, Jalen Reagor 11, Dallas Goedert 11. Have we reached the Jalen Hurts era in Philly?
100%. I know they can't get rid of Carson Wentz because we've talked about it. 59 something million, and then 30. Like 30 million the following year. But he didn't look good. They put Hurts in. I was actually watching. That was America's Game of the Week that was on while we were having our cookie baking party yesterday that I was watching with my friend. Hurts gave them a lift. He looked like he was more mobile to get away and was getting the ball out. He found Greg Ward on a nice touchdown, seemed to inspire the team. Reagor with that, just like they drew it up, muffed punt that he returns for a touchdown. If that game would have probably gone another quarter and the Eagles were capable of tackling Aaron Jones, it would have been interesting to see what happened. But I think Hurts had him playing better. And honestly, at this point in time, you're 3-8-1. You got to make a change.
Yep. Yeah. I know, what was it? He had a conference today. Doug Peterson had a press conference today where he wasn't committing to either quarterback. So we'll see what happens. I don't disagree with you. Jalen Reagor was starting to get involved. He was making plays. Like I talked about last week, my biggest thing was when he came out of the draft, I didn't think he was ready to be a quarterback yet. I thought he was a raw quarterback prospect. The one thing we have not seen is what he's been doing in practice. So there's no way for me to know for sure if he's improved at all. He looked good last night. Now, granted, Packers defense isn't top tier. Jair Alexander's a beast, and they've got a pretty good defensive front that we saw Jalen Hurts kind of took advantage of. When they pressured him, he was able to move out of the pocket. It's what he did in college as well. He's got good legs. I'll be interested to see if they decide to go with him, though, with next week, which they have. Who do they play next week?
I'll look it up. I think the thing is, you saw him come out there. You saw him play a little bit better. You're kind of fading out of it. They play the Saints. They're home for the Saints, then they're at the Cardinals, at the Cowboys, home for Washington. So not the most favorable schedule, but it's probably Taysom Hill for another week, because I know they said Breeze was getting better, but I don't really see a reason why they're making a change. I think the cries, the outcry for Hurts to get on the field is only going to get louder from here if you don't play him. And I think you're doing Carson Wentz a disservice if you don't put Hurts out there. People need to see what Hurts has. Maybe he isn't the answer. Maybe you're right about that. Well, it looks like Gibson hurt his foot. That looks like turf toe or a broken toe. that's not a good sign. But I think you've got to put him out there and you got to see what he can do. Your season's pretty well lost at this point. I don't really. Yeah, Dennis just said doubtful to return. Well, that's a dream crusher right in the first half for all the people that were looking to get the Gibson bump today. Yeah, that's kind of just the way I'm looking at it. You got to put him out there. You got to see what he's got and see if you can see what you have and make an evaluation. I think the real problem is, can you really stomach paying Carson Wentz that much money to be a backup? And if not, I don't see how you find anyone that's willing to take that contract on.
No, you can't.
With the way he's looked. So, I mean, the only reason I could see him not wanting to commit is he doesn't want to open a Pandora's box that he can't do anything with for 2 years.
The one way I could see why they would commit to Jalen Hurts if he's good is because, as we talked about with who was it? We're just talking about a quarterback who's got a pretty big cap hit as well. Goff. Yes, they're going to be sitting there on your on your bench, and you're paying them, in Wentz's sake, $59 or $36 million next year. But you have Jalen Hurts on a rookie contract. So in the end, it's really not hurting your books that much, because you're still getting, it's not like you had to go out and then pay another quarterback. You've got him on that rookie contract. And by the time it'll be time to pay Jalen Hurts, you'll be able to get out of that Carson Wentz contract. So I don't know. I still think Carson Wentz is talented. We had this discussion a couple weeks ago. The way he played last year with all those wide receivers that nobody had even heard of, and it was all because that offensive line that offensive line has not looked healthy at all. I think you can argue that the play calling has been really bad this year. I mean, I like a lot of players on that team. Miles Sanders is one of the best players on your team. How you only give him 10 touches in the entire game is beyond me, especially when you were in that game for the most part. It's not like it was 30-3
Sanders,
the entire game. Yeah, like there's a lot of issues with Philly. I'll be interested to see what they do in the offseason, because obviously we talked about it, I think last week. There's a lot of rumors that Rodzen's probably going to be gone. Doug Peterson may be on his way out as well. With the new guy coming in, does he want Carson Wentz? Does he want to go with Jalen Hurts? We'll see what happens. There's definitely a lot more questions than it seems answers right now in Philly, and that'll be something we'll be paying attention to. Will they put in Hurts full time? For the Packers side here, Rodgers, 23 points, Jones, 23, Devontae Adams, 34, and Bobby Tonyan, 13. What do you think of Aaron Jones' long-term future there? We've seen him kind of been in and out with Jamal Williams. We saw a lot of Jamal Williams yesterday, too, but Aaron Jones gets that nice big run. So I thought was awesome, too. You had Bakhtiari running all the way down the field to help with those final blocks to get Jones in the end zone. A good game for Jones in this one.
I think he just brings a different dimension, as a runner, and is on a different level. There was a lot of talk, in the early part of the season that seemed to be close to some kind of agreement to bring him back. It's going to be a question to me. Do they want to pay him? Are they going to bring him back? I think that offense is better with Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones has been good in that offense. I think with Jones, Rodgers, and Adams as a core, the fact that they haven't developed any really incredible stud weapons around them has still been enough to get them to where they're game back of having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The question is whether they're going to pay him or not. And Green Bay has resisted some of those things in the past. I think that they should do it, if only for it depends too on what Jones is looking for in terms of length. But I think that, their win now window is this season and probably a couple more seasons with Rodgers, and then you're looking at doing something else. But they've still been so good, it would be kind of a disappointment to me to break up the band. And we haven't seen enough from A.J. Dillon to feel good about that. Jamal Williams, is a fine fill-in, fine complimentary back. I don't know that I see him as being the same level as Jones, as being the guy. So then are you trying to hit a home run with draft picks, which hadn't exactly happened? It would make the most sense that they keep him, that both sides work out some kind of an agreement, but it's the NFL, and what makes sense doesn't always come into play.
Yeah. I honestly don't even know. I shouldn't say that. I think they should re-sign him. The biggest thing, what we don't know is what you just mentioned there. We don't know what kind of contract he's going to ask for. If he asks for like something up there with Derek, well, see, I don't think Derrick Henry ended up actually getting that big of a contract.
No,
But if he
and I
goes
could
for like
see something in the Mixon range because I don't think Mixon's contract was
it's
too
not
killer.
no, it's not massive. If he asks for something up there like Zeke's range, which I'm going to be honest, I feel like he deserves that, but. Running backs, I think the next one that's going to get that is Barkley. Cook got one as well. I think that's Barkley because I don't even, as much as I hope the Browns pay Chubb, I don't even think Chubb gets a contract like that. So if Aaron Jones is smart about it and gets a good contract that I mean, I think he deserves to get paid. I think he'll go somewhere if the Packers don't re-sign him, but I'm with you. I think they should because as good as Jamal Williams has looked this year, I don't think that him or why am I forgetting his name? AJ Dillon are anywhere close to what Aaron Jones brings that offense.
AJ Dillon's another one I'd like to check back in on. He went on the COVID list, I feel like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We have not heard
it's been longer than that.
And
it's been a while.
Remained on the COVID. Yeah, that's right. It was before the 49er game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a long
He's remained on the COVID
Yeah.
list. I mean, how is he doing? I thought about that the other day.
All right, I guess we have to technically talk about this game. The 49ers shut out the Chargers in this one, 45-0. Cam Newton, 23 points.
The Patriots shut out the Chargers.
Yeah, is that not what I said? To say the Chargers?
You said the 49ers.
Yeah, same difference, I guess. Harry, 9 points. And in case you guys were wondering, the Patriots defense scored 38 in my league, so they had a phenomenal game. N'Keal Harry finally does something. Are you selling him if you own him or if you roster him?
Gosh, if you can. It was nice to see him come back from the dead, I guess, to get something going. The Patriots look like they're about to get Julian Edelman back, they said, for the stretch run. A couple weeks ago, New England looked like you left them for dead. They lost at home to Denver. They got blown out, kind of. Then they beat Baltimore. They beat Arizona. They just decimated a Chargers team that had looked like one of the best offenses in football. It feels like they're making kind of that December run. A lot of people a month ago were saying Brady kind of won the Brady versus Belichick thing. It looked like he was going to have a much better record and much better position. The way they're tracking now, they're only one game apart. I wouldn't be surprised based on schedules if the Buccaneers and the Patriots end up with largely the same record.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. If you can sell, if you can sell high on Harry, go for it. I've never been in on him anyway, so I doubt you'll be able to get anything for him. Herbert 4 points, Eckler 10, Keenan Allen 9. Herbert finally stumbles. Is this it for Anthony Lynn as a Chargers head coach?
So to me, the surprise today wasn't that a coach got fired. It was just that it was the Jets defensive coordinator who should have gotten a medal and not Anthony Lynn, who
should have gotten an extension.
I mean, they got their butts handed to them in all three phases of the game. And it's not been a great season. And we've seen the Chargers play well enough offensively that they could be a 6 or 7 win team at this point in time and just managed to find ways to lose them. And I feel like it's been that way for the last couple of years. I like Anthony Lynn. He seems like a great guy. This team is not playing for him and they are not reaching their potential with him. And I think that, whether it's before the end of the season or during the offseason, the Chargers are going to have to move on and make some kind of a change and look toward that kind of future with Justin Herbert. So after that, we will move on to the saddest game for me of the weekend, which was the Chiefs and the Broncos. Chiefs take it 22-16. Denver, I tell you, they always get your hopes up if you're a fan. Led all the first half and then took leads for a while, but in the end, the Chiefs just a little bit too much. Locke puts up 10.9 points. Melvin Gordon had a nice 63-yard run, had over 100 yards, finishes with 15 points. And then Tim Patrick puts a couple of touchdowns, finishes with 20 points to lead the Broncos. Patrick has had a pretty nice run this season so far at wide receiver. I've seen a lot of people asking, is he a guy we should be stashing in Dynasty? As a Denver fan, I like Tim Patrick. I've liked him for the last couple of years. My question would probably be about his role long term in Denver, or if he ends up going somewhere else. Does he come out? He's had some nice moments. Cortland Sutton obviously will be back next year. Figure he's going to be the number one. They drafted Jerry Jeudy in the first round. Hamler, the second round pick. They've been trying to get involved. I like Tim Patrick. I don't know if I think he has an incredibly high upside future. I could be wrong, but I think that's a tough proposition. I've seen some people, would you trade a first for him? I definitely would not. I wouldn't even trade a second. Probably if I can get him for a third and I can stash him, I will. I just don't know that he has super defined role.
Yeah, so really quick on the Chargers for me, I do think that's the end for Anthony Lynn. I brought this up I think last week when we talked about it. I thought with the way that he gave up 4 leads of over 16 points, which I know is not technically him, but the way his offense has been, he's been very conservative, not going for wins that in multiple games against really good teams such as the Chiefs, Saints. There was somebody else as well. What happened?
Just turn the TV off.
Oh, I don't care anymore. I already lost, so it doesn't matter. I was down 26 points anyways. So
Deontay Johnson is now asking Ben Roethlisberger, I think, how you catch a football. He's like showing his hands. He's like, do you use these?
I'm just.
Mike Tomlin just gave a death stare. Those wide receivers might get killed at halftime.
On Patrick, I actually like Tim Patrick. I'm with you. I don't know how much I'd pay for him, but he's been more impressive than Jerry Jeudy, kind of by a lot, in my opinion. And I don't know if it's. I'm not trying to say that he's a better prospect than Jerry Jeudy because I'm going to say the same thing for Jalen Reagor. It's been a weird year. This offense has been beat up. Jerry Jeudy was forced into a role he was not supposed to have with Cortland Sutton being out on the field. So I'm not trying to say Tim Patrick is better than Jerry Jeudy, but I do think he could be the third wide receiver on that team. And if that offense gets anything going next year, whether it's with Drew Lock or a new quarterback, I wouldn't say that he's not fantasy relevant. I mean, hey, there you go. That's a great catch by Johnson right there. Great catch. All right. Anyway, so
okay, but so
it's hard to say because I think most of his value comes without Cortland Sutton being in there. That's the thing.
The coverage, they had better coverages for Jerry Jeudy, but also Drew Lock, man. Every one of his shit passes was I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to throw it at Jerry Jeudy and blame him.
Yeah.
It's what it felt like. And part of it could be Locke probably has more chemistry with Tim Patrick because they've been there for a couple of seasons. But I like Tim Patrick. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know. When you're talking about making dynasty bets and risking – especially with what we've talked about with this 2021 class, I don't know if I feel second round pick Tim Patrick. I don't know if I feel it's not putting it up against, hey, I think he's trash. It's putting it up against, do I think there's going to be a prospect that ends up better? I mean, even in this draft that we last saw, Antonio Gibson, I got him late second, early third. Would I rather have Tim Patrick than him? I would not. And so at this stage, when you're, maybe post-draft, when you're looking at where your picks are and who you're realistically going to get, and maybe you have more information on the off season, I'm looking at. But I saw some guys today, they were trying to decide, maybe I'd be curious your take. Would you rather make a move to get Tim Patrick or Michael Gallup in Dynasty? I said I would move to get Gallup because I think he's a better prospect, and I think there's a chance he goes someplace that knows how to use him, or Dallas figures out its offense.
See, as much as I like Gallup, I think I'd actually go Patrick. He's proven it. Gallup's had half a good season, and that's it. And I like Gallup, but he's been in a better offense with a better quarterback.
Half a good season.
No, because he was good at times last year. He was good 2 years ago. I had him in a chance to three-peat. And if Case Keenum didn't suck, I would have. Like my
Okay,
thing with
last year he got in his first year he got 23 for 317. Last year he got 16 passes for 218 and 0 touchdowns.
Come on, Deontay, get in the end zone.
11 games this year, 11 starts. He's caught 40 for 607 and 5 touchdowns. I think
because they use him as a deep threat.
He's had a decent season.
Gallup, they use as a deep threat.
Those are Tim Patrick's stats.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You said he had a good year last year. He had 16 receptions for 218 yards and no touchdowns last year.
200 yards on 16 receptions isn't bad.
For a season.
They also had Joe Flacco as their quarterback most of the year. I mean,
but
right? And then Brandon Allen and who else?
But
come on, he's wide open.
Patrick was out the beginning.
Let's go! Let's go, Deontay. All right. I'm feeling better. Here we go. This is what I needed. It's coming up. Let's go, Deontay.
Hey, Deontay, do everything you can. He only falls short by 1 point this week instead of 4.
Hey,
that'll make him feel better.
I still have Zeke tomorrow night, so let's go.
Yeah,
if all I need is 1 out of Zeke tomorrow, I'm feeling pretty damn good because I'm expecting 4.
They must have called it back or said it was incomplete.
A flag, illegal man down the field. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, they're not.
I'm done.
Anyway,
the game
let's
done.
move on to Kansas City.
Mahomes 19, Bell 7, Hill 14, Kelsey 27. CEH was active, didn't play. All right, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Fuck this shit. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't expect CEH to play. They had talked about they had said earlier in the day, or I believe it was Schefter who said earlier in the day that he was really sick and that they weren't expecting him to play. Of course, Eric Ebron gets a touch.
No, I mean the ones that I saw in the morning were that he had been really sick, but they expected him to be active and a part of the game.
Yeah, that's what the beat reporters were saying. Schefter did not say that. Schefter said that he was expected to be active, but he was not expecting him to play.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's a. It reminds me a little bit. Was it Leonard Fournette that we had earlier in the year where that happened?
Possibly. No, trust me, it's not for my table that's now got indentures in it because I'm getting pissed off. I need Deontay so bad to come up big in this one. He's not going to anymore.
No, he went to.
Hey, that's the first down though, right? Forward progress. Forward progress. Give him the first down. Quick hit.
They did. Deontay. It's first and goal.
Well, I remember I'm behind. Remember, I'm behind. YouTube TV. All right. Anyways.
Oh, there you go. Touchdown, Deontay Johnson.
Really? Let's go! I need this, Deontay. 20 points, Deontay. I need that from you tonight. Let's make this happen. Let's get Matty B back in the playoffs. I deserve it. I've been shit on all year.
That when he was holding his hands and asking if this is how you catch a ball, and Ben was looking at him, that was the boost he needed to be able to catch a ball.
Let's look how much I'm behind now. I'm going to torture myself by looking at this score all night long. Down 16. Okay. I'm feeling good.
Oh, you need 16 more from him alone?
No, from him and Zeke. 16 from him and Zeke. What I
would
needed
like to say that seems doable, but I've seen Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm only hoping. I only need 4 from Zeke. That's all I'm asking for from Zeke. Hey, look, I went in. I was like, look, Deontay, I need like a 24-point game from you. That's all I need. And it puts me in. Of course, he has Ebron going. That's the biggest issue right now. And Ebron's already got him 5 points. That's what jumped him up because it was a lot closer. But he's already got 5 points out of it.
That's all right. I was playing Antonio Gibson and Raheem Mostert against Ebron, needed to make up 7 points, and I'm not feeling good about that right now.
Yeah. Damn it, man. All right. I need this win, guys. I'm sorry.
So, see, I think it's a bummer that happened with CEH. But
I mean, it was even if they were saying that, there's nothing you can do. If you hear CEH is going to play, you're going to put him in. Because you're expecting him to. It is what it is.
I feel like the running game in general is terrible for the Chiefs lately because Le'Veon Bell pretty much had it all to himself last night. He gave you 7 points. He wasn't spectacular catching or running, and some people said it looked because he looked slow. I guess I thought he was patiently looking for a hole to open that hardly ever did. Denver's defense played pretty well, but Kansas City seems to have just gone into the all pass all the time lately. Mahomes has been on a tear, 300 plus the last 5 games, 400 plus a couple of those games. And if I had Hill and Kelsey, I might not care if I could run the ball either.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and I don't want to toot our own horn here, but all of us kept saying that we did not think he was going to be that good this year because of the way that offense is and everything. So I am with you, though. I mean, if you saw anybody saying he was going to play or if you heard he was going to be active, if you didn't have anybody to put in at that point anyways, you're going to play him because you're expecting him to have a good game. It sucks. It's one of those things where, let's be honest, there's a lot of players that let us down this week. I mean, shit, some idiot forgot to swap DeAndre Swift out of his lineup, and pretty sure we knew about him not playing Saturday. So it is what it is, unfortunately. All right. That will do it for us today before I get myself in trouble by saying things I shouldn't, as I'm already cursing and everything with this game going on. Matt and myself will be back tomorrow. We will recap the Steelers and Washington football team game. Almost said it. Caught myself right at the last second. And the Bills and 49ers game as well. We'll talk waiver wires and probably do some kind of preview or at least talk a little bit about Ravens Cowboys, which we will see Tuesday. Is it Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night?
No, it's in the evening. It says it's 7:15 Eastern, so I think it's 5 something because it's replacing the Thursday night football game from the week before. So we just get 2 Monday, 1 Tuesday, an off day Wednesday, 1 Thursday, back kind of on the wagon. Our wives will not be pleased, but it is what it is.
My wife's not here, so I'm good. She's never here anyway. So
my wife already told me Tuesday night football isn't a thing that doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, they're going to be playing a game, so I guess we'll see where the TV lands tomorrow. Yeah. And I know it's going to land on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, that's all right. That's where you pull up. I'm telling you, man, YouTube TV, it's a life changer. Just put it up on your phone. Oh, it's so beautiful. And then go back to your phone. All right, anyway, so we will catch you guys again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the game. Deontay, let's get 2 more touchdowns, baby. Let's secure the bag for old Matty.
Or 3 for Juju. I would be fine with that. 3 for
Please
Juju.
no. If Juju gets 3 touchdowns, there won't be a podcast tomorrow because I will be breaking things all over my house. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, guys.
Only 2 for Juju. 2 more for Deontay.
0.